Hello, welcome to Sound and Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to go through and rank all of the Guardian Critics' top 100 books from their list. So, of course, I looked at the list. It came out a couple weeks ago. You always kind of see, like, how many have I read? And I always look at, like, how many women are on the list? And this one had quite a few. And so I was like, okay, because there's a lot of, like, sci-fi fantasy lists where there'll be, like, Ursula Le Guin, and that'll be, like, the only woman. And so I was glad to see that there are more women on this one. So, given I read almost half of the ones on the Guardian list, and I have a bunch on my shelves to be read someday, when I stop getting so many approvals on NetGalley, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a video about this. And I'm also going to post another video either tomorrow or the day after where I'm going to rank all of the Guardian, readers lists. So anyway, so the ranking system is based on the paltry notion of my opinion. Some of these books I read 20 years ago. Now, I'm not going to explain every single one because no one wants to hear that. I mean, I say that now, you know me. I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm verbose, but I do love to talk about books. But I'm going to explain my lowest ranked and then the top kind of 10 for sure in detail why I picked those. So let's get going. Now, this is probably going to stop a bunch of people watching right now, and that is totally fine. But I cannot stand Catch-22. I would never put it on a favorite list of mine. I understand the despair aspect of World War II. I understand the other themes of it. But how women were treated when I first read it turned me right off. I could not divorce myself from that when I read this book when I was like 18. And I have never liked it since, and I will never read it again. So for me, it's the worst book on this list. Another book that I would not put on my list is 100 Years of Solitude. I'm sorry, I just find this book really boring. It's one of those books that, yeah, people seem to love it, but I'm just like, I don't know. I can't get into it. I just can't. It's just probably a me thing. I just could never get into it. White Teeth, I have this on lower on my ranking because I thought this book was good. I read it, I think, when I was 17 or 18. I know because some person lent it to me when I worked at the video store, and I just don't understand the hype or why it's always on these lists. Like, it's good. I don't know. Is there something that I'm missing about it that makes it so good? Anyway. Heart of Darkness. Meh, it's not that great. It's also racist. Invisible Man, so I have this one. I kept it. I read it for university. I just don't remember it. So it clearly didn't make much of an impression on me. This is why it's at the bottom of the list. I don't think it's a bad book at all. The Great Gatsby. I don't like Fitzgerald. He stole his wife's work. He's too flowery. He's pretentious. I think The Great Gatsby is not interesting at all. No thanks. Lolita. So, this book is distasteful for obvious reasons, but the method behind it of making the reader complicit in the bad decisions and actions of the main character, I thought was successful. I believe that the book is meant to be distasteful. It's a horror story. That's the thing with this book. I think what the book did and the way it approached it and the method behind it is really fascinating, but yeah, the subject matter is repulsive. Anyway, as again, though, I think it's supposed to be. The rest of these books, I'm just going to list them. These are kind of mid-pack books for me. They aren't really in order. I just, either read them a few years ago and enjoyed them, or I found that they had literary merit, so for me, they belong on the list. The Left Hand of Darkness, not my favorite Le Guin book. It's fine. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, fun. Kindred, really excellent book. It just didn't make it up to my top list. Crime and Punishment. Anything by him is messed up and fun. The Color Purple, excellent book. Very depressing. Mansfield Park. I'm surprised I don't own that. Yeah, a good Jane Austen. Wild Sargasso Sea. Enjoyed it. Midnight's Children. I read this for university, and yeah, I think it's good. Probably won't ever read it again, though. Things Fall Apart. Again, I read this so long ago, I don't remember it. The Portrait of a Lady. Not the best Henry James. Wuthering Heights. I've read this book multiple times. Clearly, I've flagged it because I had to read it for school. I read it for a couple book clubs. Yeah, I understand why people love it. Not my favorite. Persuasion. Again, another great Jane Austen, but it's not top of my list. 1984. Anna Karenina. I'm proud that I read it. It's long. It's a bit confusing in the terms of how Russian people have 19 names each, but definitely worth reading. I was watching the movie with Keira Knightley in it from like a long time ago, and I'd had some, some edibles, and I'm watching it, and because it's kind of filmed like on a stage play, it kind of moves back and forth. I was like, what? I was so confused. I was like, what? This movie's messing with my head. Why is it filmed this way? And then I realized, and I was just like, I'm too high for this. Speaking of too high for things, The Metamorphosis is the last one that I really liked, but it's not going to be my favorite book of all time. So the next 12 are ones that I more than enjoyed. I really like them. These are the top, like, can't do math. I'm panicking. Up to 10. 22 to 10. Oh my god. You're gonna be like, why would I even trust this woman's opinion? So, where are we? So, Rebecca. Great book. A lot of fun. I'm showing you this one. It has no cover on it. It has a very nice spine, though. Handmaid's Tale. I've got a very old edition. This is like a first edition. I wonder if it's worth money. No, it's not a first edition. Too bad. Excellent book. Definitely worth reading. I have not watched the show. I'm too scared. I'm going to be triggered. To the Lighthouse. A great Virginia Woolf. Not the best Virginia Woolf. Emma, to be honest, the only reason this isn't in my top 10 is because I can't have two Jane Austens in my top 10, in my opinion. I don't think that's fair. I really love Emma. Never Let Me Go. I read this a long time ago when it first came out. I thought it was fantastic. It got me into Ishiguro. Actually, no, it didn't get me into Ishiguro. Another book on this list got me into Ishiguro, but I do like this one. Oh my god, there's a stack. It's going to fall over. Frankenstein, of course. Great Expectations. Not my favorite Dickens. Dombey and Son is my favorite Dickens book, actually. I've read 4 Dickens, I think. I really need to read Bleak House, though. Beloved, again, excellent novel, but it's so sad. It's like the saddest thing. It's like, oh my god. Moby Dick. Enjoyed it. Didn't like the whaling as much as the boats and the obsession part of it, but you can check out my review of Hell's Heart if you want to hear more about Moby Dick. The Road. I love The Road. The Road is so good. I don't know if it's in my top 10 anymore. I really like, there was a stage in my life where I was obsessed with post-apocalyptic stuff, and so this was like one of my favorite books during that stage, but I don't know, I've kind of fallen off of that. And then, of course, Ulysses is on here. Ulysses, I have read this fancy edition my friend got me. I will argue that Molly's part of Ulysses is the best part of the entire book. Ulysses deserves to be on a top 100 list. It's wild. It's a chore to read it. It took me quite a while to read this book, and it does. I think this is a book that's better served if you are reading it to like study it. But I had just come out of university when I read this, so I kind of was in the study mode. I think if I tried to read it now, I'd be like, I don't remember any of these references and allusions and stuff. Okay, one more I want to mention that's not on my favorites list because it's devastating, but I think it belongs on the list because it has the biggest, most bonkers twist of all time, not in a good way. This book is crazy, and it is Jude the Obscure. I love Tom Hardy. He's my boy. But this book is wild. Yeah. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. Don't spoil it for people. The twist is awful. So, the bottom of the top 10 is In Search of Lost Time. I have not finished the entire series. You can look back in my videos. In fact, I might have created even a list for them where I was doing little mini reviews of Proust. And I don't know if I started with book 1 or if I started with book 2, but I was reading like, I think 100 to 200 page chunks at a time and then discussing them. Problem is when I was in book 5, which was The Captive and the Fugitive, I think, whatever it is, I got really pissed off at the narrator because he's such a loser in that book. He's a loser kind of the whole time, but he's so infuriating in that book. And I was like, you know what? I need a break from him. And then I never came back. But with things kind of winding down a little bit in my life, I think I'm going to have more time. So I'm going to try to get back into finishing the series because I really only have 1.5 books left. I probably should restart book 5, though. Next one is The Remains of the Day. This is the Ishiguro one I was talking about. The sheer quietness of this book is masterful. Also, the unspoken romance aspect was so good. The Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson adaptation movie from like the 90s is great too. You should check it out. But yeah, this is a book that it's very slow and ponderous, and I just loved it. I read it for a British literature class in university. A Farewell to Arms. I will defend Hemingway with my life. This book made me cry for so long. People think that Hemingway has like no emotions. He's just a big, tough, manly man. But no, there's my light. Keeps me from looking like a vampire. But no, he has all emotion with him. It's just very pared down. And I just love, here's one of my favorite quotes. And I had seen nothing sacred, and the things that were glorious had no glory, and the sacrifices were like the stockyards of Chicago, if nothing was done with the meat except to bury it. This kind of stuff. He's just like so great with metaphors and things like that. Anyway, I love A Farewell to Arms. It's better than the other one of the Bell Tolls. And then I've read his short story collection on Kilimanjaro. I've not read The Old Man and the Sea. Anyway. Next we have Dracula. I have the crappiest version. How am I supposed to read this? It's so tiny. The font is like 9. I'm like, I'm too old for this. I bought this little tiny version, I guess, like when Chapters had these on sale a long time ago. I should just get a real version. I'm never going to read this tiny little thing. It looks so cute though. Look, it's so gold and shiny. Anyway, Dracula's a lot of fun. Epistolary book. So cool. It's kind of before its time. It still reads like a modern book in certain respects. If you haven't read the book, you totally should check it out. Of course, we got P&P. I am just starting to watch The Other Bennett Sister. I don't watch a lot of TV, but at the time of filming, my husband's away on a canoe trip. And so we generally watch the same stuff. We both like horror movies and sci-fi and like weird stuff and like a bunch of we like the same things, except I really love British period pieces and he is not interested. Just like I don't like watching his car shows where men stand around literally staring at an engine and talking about it. So yeah, I've been watching that since he's gone and I really like it. Not as good as North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, which should be on this list because it's fantastic. And then we have Jane Eyre, which is much more approachable, I find, than Pride and Prejudice if you're trying to get people into, like, older literature. I highly recommend Jane Eyre. Look, this one looks like a beast, but it's not that long because you fly through it. It's very kind of modern feeling. It's got a bit more excitement to it. There's less, like, people talking and subtleties and more, I'm being locked in an attic and things like that. It's very fun. I think I read it when I was, like, 14. Another book I read for university that I loved. It kind of introduced me to stream of consciousness things. I just loved university for teaching me about these books that I never would have picked up. I never would have picked up Mrs. Dalloway without my British literature class again. And I just, it's so good. Like it's just mesmerizing. Virginia Woolf is just, yeah, she's in a league of her own. Now, of course, this book has to be on here. If you look at the title of my channel here, you'll know that I'm going to mention The Sound and the Fury by Faulkner. This book means a lot to me in that it was one of the first books I read in university in like a first year class. And it was the first time that I really kind of understood the concept of illusion, and I really loved how the title, is an allusion to Macbeth, and how that, has thematic value in the rest of the story, and those layers, I was like so impressed by these layers, and so it introduced me to a deeper level of reading that I hadn't been aware of before that point. And so for me, I'm really devoted to that book for that reason, and I also really like the quote, and the reason that my channel is called that is not actually because of this book, but it's because of, the quote about sound and fury signifying nothing, because I like to ramble on and on and on. I thought it was funny. Next on the list is a book that I definitely agree should be on there, and spoiler alert, it's on the readers list too, and that is Middlemarch. This book is amazing. I had to read it again for a British literature class in university, and I am so thankful that I did. And yes, I was one of those people that read all the literature you were assigned. I didn't just read the Spark Notes or whatever the heck it was called. No, this book is fantastic. It's such like a deep look into people and how they change over time, and the decisions you make when you're young and how you regret them. And you watch the one character, Dorothea. That's her name, right? Dorothea? Yeah, kind of, and her, like, the way that things happen for her, and it's so good. It's such a good story. And my favorite on the list, because it's the best, and that's The Master and Margarita. I've mentioned this book before, I think, on my channel, and This book is mind-blowingly funny. It is so funny, but it's also got like the personification of the devil in it. It's got cats in it. It's just the weirdest book ever, and it's so good. It's like I can't even describe how good it is. Anyway, if you have any book on this list that you should check out The Master and Margarita. It is amazing. And mine's all waterlogged because I read it. I still remember where I read this book. I read it when I was on vacation in Cuba, like 20 years ago. Anyway, a lot of these books I read like 20 years ago, mainly because, as I mentioned before, I get all these approvals for new books on NetGalley. And so I never have time to go and read any of the older stuff. And I really need to carve out like time in my reading schedule for books, because I do have a whole bunch of older books or books like Victorian literature, domestic fiction. I've got a couple Tom Hardy books I haven't read. I've got some, I think I've read all the Bronte books, but I have, anyway, what am I talking about? Thank you for checking this out. Let me know if you've looked at the list. Let me know how many books on the list that you have read and what your favorites are. So thanks.